All right, well, this video is a funny video. It's kind of a philosophy video, so to speak. But we are talking about just dealing with and interacting with human beings and how it often goes down and how people interact with you. Now, we obviously live in an age of social media and attention grabbing politics. People just, want it all, so to speak. Oops. And yeah, that is kind of the true manner of the way people are nowadays, is that they're so confrontational and people just hate each other. They always want to pretend like they're better than everyone else. And of course, human beings are a type of species that we will fight each other to get to the top. And that's how we've evolved. That's how human beings have lived for quite some time. And in many ways, you see that online. You see people who are vindictive, and I can read people just like that. And man, sometimes I'm a little too good at it online, and it gets me into a lot of interesting arguments with people. And I like to do that. I like to spur something in people. I like to test their emotions. I like to trick them. I like to play with them. I like to get into their head and make them think. I think it's a really important skill. I think it's something that really allows you to explore the human psyche, because one could argue that there's not individuals out there. There's not like, you know, all these individual people. We're one collective conscious. We're one collective consciousness, and we are just like, I find people so fascinating, and sometimes when you poke someone or say something controversial or say something that people really don't fucking like, they interact very emotionally. And, oftentimes my opinions have gotten people very upset, very upset. And some of the ways I trick and play with people's minds has led them to do some absolutely insane shit. It's something like literally. No more is that for those from my Twitter account, which is just my free ran thoughts just going wild. And it's easy to do that, and it's funny because it will, for people, when someone hates you online, when someone hates you over a comment or over who you are as a person or what you believe in, they will never accept the fact that you are right, ever. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter what proof you have, no matter how good you look, no matter what, they will never accept the win of you if they hate you. So that's the core thing, is that you have someone who hates you. It's just and it's the same thing in real life. If someone hates you, they will do everything in their power to bring you down, to try and defeat you, try and take things from you, to try and get it up over you, to try and make themselves better than you. And in many ways, uh, it's something that I have recognized from a mile away, because that is the true core nature of people, is they're just devoutly selfish. They're selfish creatures. And you can pick apart someone's psyche so easily when you realize that fact, is that they are always going to think of themselves. They're always going to put themselves first. And that is just like the core inhabitants of people. So you can interact with people online, and anybody who struggles, like there's so many people out there, my heart goes out to them, that social media and people, they just they can't deal with opposition from people. And for me, I've been fighting motherfuckers my whole life. I've been fighting cocksuckers left, right, and center. And for me, it's a game. For me, I like to test people, and it's the type of thing that you can really tell, or you can really do yourself some good in dealing with people when you just realize that most people are pieces of shit. They may act nice, they may treat, they may portray this like, oh, I give to charities and I'm so good to my family. When realize really the real reality of it is that human beings are selfish creatures. They only care about themselves. They only give a shit about themselves. And they're not going to they're never going to want you to succeed if you're a random person, uh, unless you are like the same as them. You know what I mean? Like people only flock to people that are like them. And I find humans fascinating. They're just very fascinating creatures. As someone who's studied nature and enjoyed nature, people are they're so conniving. Like they'll pretend like they like you and then suddenly turn on you. They will worship you. I've seen some people do, and they will have opinions and thoughts that are all of their own, and you can never really trust people. You just can't. You can't. People have married a woman. People have been married to a woman for 20 years and she fucking cheats on them. Where was all those kisses and love back then? They're strange people. So I mean, I guess what my point is that be wary of people, because people can do things that you would never believe to try and prove a point. And people have a way of projecting a level of self-importance, because that's what we do as a survival mechanism. We live in a world that if you're nobody, you've failed at life. Well, guess what, people? Nobody makes it out of this fucking alive. How many people do we know existed 100 years ago? How many people you think are gonna know you exist 100 years from now? There's no winners in this game. It's a zero-sum game. We all fucking die. The earth absorbs us back, and we're forgotten, lost to the sands of time in 200 years. Imagine what the world is going to be like in 200 years as you watch this year slip away one by one, the days. You come closer to the inevitable truth that one day you are just going to fade away into the ether like you never even existed. And that's why, realistically speaking, all you can really do is absorb as much pleasure, enjoyment, and interest and mind expansion and knowledge and curiosity that you can. Because to go around puffing your chest out with your big truck and your trophy wife with fake tits, and your property and your businesses you own, none of that fucking matters. That is gonna, nobody's gonna know you even existed. Your ego is nothing. That ego that people put way up here is actually nothing. And it just gives you momentary pleasures. And yeah, that's like, yeah, I just find it funny that people go chasing that, you know, extravagant lifestyle. And I've lived a very luxurious, very relaxed, very interesting and very curious and very, I would say, rewarding life. I've really I've done some cool things, and I'm gonna continue to do things. I hope to one day be a big actor and be like a Tom Hardy or be like a fucking you know Michael Madsen just died today, and that's like a person who I would have dreamed to meet and to be like him because he's just such a cool dude. And now I'll never get to meet him, and it's like he lives a life we could only ever dream of, and he's such a cool dude and so cherished. But like then you get like other people, some are just random internet douchebag troll, 55 followers on social media, going around being a twat. It's like, yeah, it's like there's two types of people in the world. The people who are shitty, which there's a lot of them. I hate to admit, but a lot of people in this world are just absolute garbage fucking human beings. And then there's a lot of great people. And there's people who, are, I would say, a net benefit to humanity. And the unfortunate truth is we don't know what the ratio is. We don't know how many people are absolute shitbags, and we don't know how many people are absolutely awesome fucking people who make the world a better place and are great to everyone and everything and don't really give a shit about that, grand ego of, being the greatest and being better than everyone else and pushing other people aside. But I mean, that's the truth, is that most people are kind of in that camp of they're either trash human beings or they're just slightly on the line. They're just slightly on the fucking line of, you know, I pay my taxes, I'm good to my family, but you know what? I kind of make asshole-ish remarks to my employees. I, you know, don't I litter occasionally. They're not the worst people imaginable, but they're just on that fucking line of I'm a person who's kind of a dick. Isn't that true? Like, is that true? Like, they would never give money to a homeless person, even though I would say never give money to homeless people because most of them are shit people. But they don't really have any empathy for other people. I'm not saying I have much empathy for other people either, because I hate to admit it, but a lot of people really don't give a fuck if you're about you and your life. It's like, that's the truth. Like, if you go into work and go, oh, my problems, oh, my family life, and oh, my finances, like, most coworkers don't give a fuck about you. That's the truth of like when you go into work. Most people are not gonna give a flying fuck about you, your happiness, your life. You're just a entity that is there that they have to interact with, and that's kind of a sad truth, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? So my point is this. My point in essence is this: is that people, and I've said this a few times, is like the reason life is difficult is because other people make it that way. And as soon as you recognize that fact, as soon as you recognize that a lot of the people out there are going to just almost purposefully try and make your fucking life difficult, is there almost, and yes, there are some great people out there who are just cool, nice, kind individuals. The world is full of absolute fucking scum, and you all know who you are. So next time you think about going in and making a snide, annoying ass, fucking sarcastic remark to an employee, or you think about littering, or you think about talking down to your wife, or you think about, you know, gloating on social media about your perfect life, or you think about, not giving a shit about another person who's going through something, just remember, just keep it in the back of your head that there are the shittiest people imaginable in this world. There are people who are fucking amazing and great, and you are probably somewhere in the middle of that, a little bit more on the shitty side. And there's a lot of you. And that's the truth. That's the truth of the matter, is that there are plenty of shitty people out there. And as soon as you learn to accept it, your mental health can really grow. And I've felt over the last 5, 10 years, I've learned with my mental health that I just accept it. I just accept that humans are kind of shitty, and you just got to deal with that. You just got to say, you know what? You take a step back and you say, you know what? Fuck these mother. That's my saying. That's Tycho Dragon's saying. Fuck the world. Fuck people. I don't give a shit about most people. I care about my family. I care about the things I enjoy. I care about learning and growing and experiencing cool things. I don't really give a shit about other people. In fact, I use them more often than not to study them by making a comment on social media to push them and seeing what the response is. Or, telling them something that they don't want to hear to see how they react to it. Because ultimately, we're just all here for the ride. In this world, there's no winners. We're all gonna lose, bros. Every single one of us is going to one single point in history, and that's the end of our lives. So yeah, that's my philosophy, and I hope you found it interesting and enjoyable. Thank you.